Hello everyone. Grimsleygraye here. Today I'm doing my first Reddit video on the subreddit r/Thetruthishere. This subreddit is a database for personal encounters with the unknown. We archive non-fiction stories dealing with spirits, paranormal, strange happenings, and unexplained sightings. Some of us believe in otherworldly beings, some of us don't. Bounce your experience here and open a discussion about what happened to you or find solace in someone's similar story. Cross-posting, discussions, and open-minded skeptical analysis are always welcomed. My Sixth Sense. Posted by user, my name's Patrick94. 7 years ago, I was working as a dishwasher at a local sports bar. I had just turned 18 and it was the night before my high school graduation. I was supposed to hang out with some friends that night but ended up having to work after the other dishwasher called off sick. I didn't particularly mind, I needed the money. I didn't hate the job either. I actually enjoyed working in the kitchen. Anyways, towards the end of the night my kitchen manager asked me if I could close the kitchen down. This usually meant having to stay till 1 am-ish. Again, didn't mind since I got paid by the hour. Here's the juicy part, but let me tee this up first. I was one of those workers that even on my worst days, never got angry or never kept a bad mood at work. But for whatever reason, at around midnight that night, I was overcome with the most intense anger I had felt in some time. There was no explanation for it. I remember getting irrationally pissed off all of a sudden. I looked up at the clock in the kitchen and it read 12:05. My kitchen manager noticed my attitude change and let me leave early, saying he would close the kitchen. The next morning I wake up, and start to get ready for graduation. I put on some clothes and head downstairs. My grandmother was watching the news when I got downstairs and they were covering an awful car accident that happened the previous night. It was my 3 best friends, that I was supposed to hang out with before I got called into work. The accident happened at 12:05 am. All my friends were pronounced dead at the scene, the night before we were going to graduate. Anyone met people that don't seem entirely human? Posted by user, Sun and Moon 33. When I was in 6th grade, there was this girl at school. I will call her Nellie. She was the popular girl, and had a million friends and tons of boys that liked her. There was something about her that just wasn't right. She has this weird influence over everyone, including the adults and teachers. She was way too aware for her age and knew how to get around things and manipulate people that were way older than her. She seemed to know how to legitimately read minds as well. I remember once thinking a specific thought while walking close to her and she responded aloud to what I was thinking as if I had actually said something. I know for a fact I didn't. I remember I was so shocked I just stood there in awe, not knowing what to say. She definitely had some strange psychic abilities, and could force people to do things against their will just by thinking about it. She had the most amazing luck I've ever seen on anyone. She got whatever she wanted no matter how unlikely. And she seemed to draw luck away from everyone else. All her close friends and people she spent time with had terrible issues. 2 of her best friends' moms got cancer, one died, another broke her foot, and similar things happened to her other friends. For the brief time I was her friend, I had 2 infections. Once in my eye, after she complimented my new colored contacts, and one in my ear, after they noticed my new earrings. I remember she was very beautiful, but her older brother was very unattractive and appeared almost to have stunted growth. They were close and spent a lot of time together. I remember one instance where she got something she wanted that was very improbable. A speaker came to our school and was going to give away a special prize to one of the 3,000 kids at our school. We were all in the library waiting to hear who would win. I was watching Nellie and I saw her with this weird expression on her face like she was concentrating really hard. Immediately, the speaker drew a name from a hat and he called her name. She had won. She didn't even look surprised when she went to collect her prize. It was very creepy and unnerving. She had this weird effect on people where even if you didn't like her you wanted to do anything for her. I have never seen anything like it in my 17 years on this earth. I have met many popular girls and none like her. I have not seen her in nearly 7 years. We were only 11 at the time, but she was like an adult in a child's body. She knew everything that would happen and knew exactly what to say in order to make you do something for her. She did not seem entirely human to me, almost like she was something else masquerading as a middle schooler. She had a deep, almost an adult voice, and she did not think like a child. I first met her in 4th grade, and even back then she was so incredibly advanced that she had an entourage of friends, boyfriend, and other things that one doesn't normally have until middle/high school. She knew things in 4th grade about psychology/human nature that I did not learn until recently. I have never seen someone so adept at controlling and manipulating people at such a young age. Does anyone have similar experiences with people who don't seem totally human? I have so many stories about this girl. Way too many to fit in this post. If interested, just ask. Some strange stories from north of Peru. Posted by user, Bubba Reddit. My father's family is from La Libertad region, north of Peru. We have a house in a town and one in a beach nearby. I heard these stories when visiting the town as I was growing up. This happened to my father when he was 7 or 8 years old in the 70s. He had climbed a tall pacay tree on a grove near the town, and was sitting on a big branch eating the fruit. It was in the afternoon and there was a lot of wind, the branches and leaves moved and it was relaxing. Suddenly, he felt something was looking at him. He focused, and he saw 2 eyes looking at him from a branch on another tree. He first only saw the eyes. He says they were bigger than a person's and kind of hypnotic and intelligent. He then saw the rest of what looked like a monkey or a small person and was terrified for some reason. He immediately jumped off and started running to the town, feeling persecuted. When he told his grandfather what he had seen, he told him it was a duende, like a goblin, and that they take away little children, especially those that have not been baptized. His grandfather was a farmer and saw many strange things on the fields outside of town. This story happened in the 30s, the generation of my father's grandfather. A group of 4 men had gone on horse to the monte, like wild forest in this dry area, and were returning to town at the end of daylight. The paths were such that they had to go one behind the other. Suddenly, they realized that the last man was missing. They backtracked, and first found his horse without rider, and then him, on the ground, passed out. They took him to town and he was babbling and crying but not coming into himself. A priest and a curandero, like a witch doctor, had to take care of him. When he finally returned to his senses, he said had seen a bulto in the road. Bulto would translate to blob, it is just a mass occupying space. That it was darker than the surroundings and bigger than a person, and that his horse had refused to go near it. Then he remembered nothing else. Finally, this story was told to an uncle of mine. It is about a man walking back from the beach to the town, at the end of daylight. The beach is separated from the town by a desert area with dunes and some small mountains, 500 meters. 15-minute climb. The man was passing one of the mountains when he saw light coming from it. He got closer to the mountain and out of the road, and saw that the side of the mountain was open, as if there was a big doorway, and inside the mountain it was full day. That was the light he saw, and there were fields of corn. But the corn was made of gold. He got closer to the doorway, and there appeared a hooded man. The hooded man invited him in, and to take some gold corn. But the man got a bad feeling and went away. There are more strange stories about the mountains in that road from beach to town. In the spirit of October, what's the creepiest or most paranormal experience that has happened to you? Posted by user, FameUX Lumiere. Urethra Tormentor commented. Night shift in a hospital. Went to the toilet, both cubicles empty, sat down to do the business and someone started crying in the next cubicle, bolted out of there, the other toilet was empty. Different night, soon after I started working on this particular ward. Sat at the bottom of the ward so me and another nurse could get a good view of everyone. Without looking up from her notes she said footsteps are back again. I said what footsteps? She just said to listen. Heard footsteps come from the top of the ward to where we were, then go back to the top end. She didn't even flinch, just said you get used to it. There were some other issues with that particular unit. Eventually a priest came to bless it, and crashed his car on the way home. It has been decommissioned now. About 2 months ago I was at work on what we call the orphan hall because you're the only nurse down that hallway so you're all alone. Room 3 had a kid in there for 6 months before he died. All the nurses loved this kid. He spent the majority of his life in and out of the hospital. We celebrated his first and only birthday with him by decorating his room. He was one of my favorite patients ever. Anyways, 2 months ago I'm on the orphan hall by myself. All my co-workers are at nursing stations further down the hall. Most of the rooms on this hall are empty, including room 3. I hear a call bell go off, get up to get it, and it's room 3. There's absolutely no one in that room, and anyone who could have gone in that room would have had to go past me. I go in the room and turn off the call bell, and a few minutes later the same thing happens. Again, there's no one in that room or anywhere nearby. I feel like this patient who had the hospital as their home was saying hello. I feel like pretty much every nurse can give you a supernatural story since we spend so much time around life and death. I'm a night shift nurse too, and we have a similar story, but in this situation we had a woman die one night and there was a 6-hour delay getting someone to pick up her body to bring to the morgue. During those 6 hours the call light went off 4 separate times while there was only her body in the room. It was particularly unnerving considering that the call light hadn't been doing that before she died. Grimsleygraye hopes you enjoyed the video, and if you did, leave a like. Subscribe for more Reddit videos or scary stories. Leave a comment down below of what other subreddits you would like to see me tackle. Have a good night.